Well, hello, good people. This is Nicole from SoulFlwrLLC coming back to you with Soul Garden, our podcast. We've been running this junk for about 2 months now. This is our other sheep series, episode 9. I lied to y'all last time, but I lied in the post on Facebook. I said it was episode 8. It was unintentional, but it happened. This is episode 9. This is not episode 8. Episode 8 I think was the second part of mirror work. Mirror mirror yeah, it's called mirror work, but I don't like saying work. And I think it was the Greg Braden version with the great well, it's not his version. It's actually what he presented from a group called the Scenes. It's a really good podcast. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. But right now we're on episode 9. Let's go through our disclaimers because I gotta have that. We gotta do it. This is not a formal podcast. If you come up in here looking for someone to be speaking properly, now I'm the main facilitator. So if you're looking for me to come up in here and talk formally, I'll be professional, but I do not have to talk formally on my own shit. So if you're looking for that, there are so many other podcasts. This is the information age. Get with it. I am not mad at you. Sean is not mad at you, the other facilitator. We're just not bothered with that. So you do what you need to do for yourself. It's not a religious or spiritual podcast. And that is why I feel free to cuss. Also, and use improper grammar. Ebonics. All of it. All of the good stuff. The soul stuff. This is a soul consciousness podcast. That means it's focused on your soul. Another word for soul is psyche. It's focused on that. SoulFlwrLLC deals with primarily self-love and healing. So there's that. The featured subjects are for learning and unlearning purposes for the opportunity of personal growth. We at SoulFlwrLLC are not attempting to convert anyone. In our discussions, our podcasts, our posts, if it's got our name on it and it's not copied, we're not trying to convert you. We're merely lifelong seekers having a discussion about our own, the things that educated us, the shit that helped us. We just want to help you. If it don't help, put it down. This is a free podcast. So that's that on that. You just move on and be happy. And we're going to love you for it. We are not total experts on these topics. So if you know something that we don't know, then you know something that we don't know. And that's great. This is our sacred service. We do have quite a bit of years of experience in a lot of the tools that we are presenting. However, we do not identify as experts. Take what resonates, leave the rest. That's what this whole disclaimer is about. Take what resonates, leave all the other shit. You ain't gotta do it. You don't have to put with it. You don't have to worry. This is not a podcast for children under the age 18. You notice how that's pumping right there? So the parents can know that we just did our part. So if they're listening to this, I mean, they get educated, but they are also hearing cuss words. So you don't want your children around certain things, then it is your responsibility to make that happen with your children. Your is a personal pronoun, possessive pronoun. That means it is not mine. It is the other person. Okay? So, yeah, this is close as I can get it to you. Close as I can get it to you. And lastly, we don't reach out to you for services for anything. This is the reach out right here. This podcast. This is us reaching out to you. If we have any tools or resources in the process of reaching out, it will be on Facebook or YouTube. If you see our likeness or our material on any other platform, it's been stolen, and you need to report it and let us know. All right. So there's that on that. We also don't own rights to this music in the background. It is great. It is actually a binaural beat. We make an effort to have it in the background. This is from Mindful Man, and it's about relieving pain and stress, promoting safety and courage. So, if you want to put some headphones on, that's the most beneficial way to um, optimize your experience with this particular binaural beat and music. Again, this ain't our shit. We just playing it to enhance what we got going on here. Alright? The concepts that we discuss in the podcast, we're not saying that they're ours. If there is a concept presented that comes from us originally, we will let you know. Alright? So far we haven't presented a lot of material that is ours yet. So there's that on there. So I like these effects. I don't know if y'all like them, but I like them. They're gonna keep happening until I don't like them anymore. So there's that. All right, here's our subject. The disclaimers are over. We're gonna be talking about an introduction to shadow awareness. This right here is the cheat code. If you haven't listened to any other podcast, you might want to get in on this one, because this concept I've benefited from personally the most. And that is saying something, because I have benefited significantly from all of the tools that I've acquired over my 24 going on 25-year path. So, again, this is a sacred service. If you are truly looking to help yourself, shadow awareness is where it's at. As a matter of fact, on this podcast, the things like shadow awareness will continuously be presented. They all hold their own weight in the personal growth world. I'm just saying. You got a right to disagree, but the proof is in the pudding. When, as one of my mentors used to say, when you work the tools work you. So, this is what we're going to be discussing today. Let's move on. I'm going to do my best not to hold you long. Alright, so in order for us to get a better understanding and more clarity about shadow awareness, we need to talk about the concepts of light, darkness, and shadow. So, light, in the context of this discussion, because light, well, all three of these things are many things, and they take many forms. However, in the context of this podcast, light is merely awareness, exposure, or the acknowledgement of something. The acknowledgement of something that has been illuminated. Okay? Darkness is the absence of light. Takes up a lot of space. And that's very, very general, okay? Shadow is what's hidden in the darkness. Okay? Darkness, well, light comes from darkness. A lot of people think darkness is, well, I won't say that. But light comes from darkness. Okay? You have to go through darkness to get to the light. Darkness has to be present in order for light to be present. They are one. Okay? So it's like two sides of the same coin. They look differently, but it's the same damn thing. The same thing, same damn thing. It's made the same thing. I'll say that. So that's a quick and very, very, very general description there. Do your own research. Do your own research. Again, we are credible authorities. However, we are, what works for you, you gotta find that shit. But this will help you. We can only point to the door. You gotta walk through that junk. So, that's that on that. Moving on. What is shadow awareness? It is the practice of identifying what's in our inner world, because the shadow deals with our inner world. Again, in review, because I don't know, we spoke briefly on this or not. We may not have, because I think this is the introduction to shadow. Carl Jung is a psychologist in the early 1900s. Maybe. I think it's the early to mid 1900s. Do not take that, that's not concrete. I did not look up the dates when this man lived in transition. But he did exist in the 1900s. A part of it. And he's the one that came up with the term shadow. And basically, it was about, he discussed it as our inner world and what we believe we're worthy of. Which that is very, 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 very significant. And he talked about how the shadow has light and dark qualities. In the natural world, we can see the shadow clearly with the light, right? Go outside, the sun, that is a form of light. But when the sun shines on things that, when the sun shines on the planet, the shadow a shadow can be formed behind an object, like a tree. Well, for lack of a better term, it's illuminated. So, the shadow's always there. We could just only see it when the light brings it to our awareness. So, that's that's what Carl Jung dealt with the shadow. Look, Carl Jung, you can look up some of the people that he mentored. Uh, I was I was presented with the shadow concept uh, I think it was 2008, and there was this lady named Debbie Ford. She too has transitioned, but I read a book called Why Good People Do Bad Things. I was a part of a group called Light Leadership Institute for Transformation and Empowerment. There, I received a lot of leadership training. Um, Within this group, we studied this concept, and yeah, I lost my train of thought. Maybe it didn't need to be said. It's gonna be a lot of that, but yeah, that's I was talking about the book Debbie Ford, and she talked about the shadow. She was really into trying to get that concept out to people in the personal development arena and spiritual community, new age communities. At that time, in 2008, new age was just starting to kind of really take off. So yeah, it's always been present. It's always been very valuable to the collective, but uh, they really brought out this concept back in the early 2000s. Brought it back around. They really did a great job, and she did a great job with the book. Even though it's an older book, the book is almost 20 years old now, which kind of things kind of go out of relevancy after 20 years. But it's a good book. It's a good reference point. Day before it was a very good light worker, for lack of a better term. I really don't know what all of her professional titles were, but she was great. She was great. I learned a lot from her. Life changing. But that's how I learned, and then it led me to Carl Jung, who was the originator of the term shadow. He's a psychologist, but I don't know what day before uh, was outside of just like a spiritual practitioner. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about uh, some of the things, how we cope with the shadow. We reject it, we suppress it, we repress it. Suppression and repression. Suppression is when we unconsciously do it. Repression is when we consciously do it. We deny it and we project it. Uh, the shadow deals with the things that we just either don't know how to face or we don't want to face. It's one or the other, in my experience. Um, and that's why we reject it, suppress it, repress it, deny it, and project it. A lot of things. There are so many different things that can be in your shadow because the shadow deals with your inner world. Remember, so some examples of things that can be in our shadow is anger, jealousy, envy, spite, um, inferiority. You got low self esteem. That shit's in there. Um, and then there are other things that are it's not always things that we don't want to deal with. It's a lot of times it can be taboo things as well. A lot of people, for instance, homosexuality. That could be in the shadow. Now, I did mention that before, and I want to say this. That before had a concept called the beach ball effect, and the beach ball effect. She described it as like when like when you're in the pool and you have a beach ball and you try to press the ball down into the water and make it stay. We all know it's not going to stay; it's going to pop back up. So that's kind of how the function of the shadow works when we reject, suppress, repress, deny, and project things. It boomerang right on back up. And a lot of times with the shadow, it's usually inconvenient. So like, you may have a bad day at work and come home and take it out on your wife. That's an example. Or a husband. That's a projection. That's what we call a projection. That's that's shadow shit. You ain't facing the shit at work, so you bring it home and take it out on somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with that situation. But it make you feel better. You might not have said anything at work. I don't know. Anyway, that's how it functions. That's how we function with it when we don't have any shadow awareness. Here's the consequence of the lack of, suppressing, repressing, denying, and projecting. Our shadow. Again, the beach ball effect. Inconvenience shit. Self-sabotage. See, we know what self-sabotage is. We have a goal and then some shit getting in the way and we fuck up that opportunity in one way or another. Self-betrayal. That is fertilizer for goddamn shadow. The shadow growing. Okay? Self-betrayal is when we do things that we know creates unhappiness within us. An example of self-betrayal would be people pleasing, codependency, taking care of everybody else but you. That's a form of self-betrayal. Another form of self-betrayal is lack of integrity, telling little white lies, lying when you just lying, just a lie. That's a form of self-betrayal. Because what we do to others, what we think about others, what we feel about others, what we speak to others, and our behaviors are a direct reflection of us. It has absolutely nothing to do with other people. So when even if you betray someone, you go tell on America to China or some shit. You betraying yourself. That's a form of self-betrayal. So these are the consequences of lack of shadow awareness. Also, a big shadow thing, a big form of self-betrayal is cheating on your spouse or partner or whatever you got going on out there. And the consequence of that, you know what the consequence of that shit is. Yeah, it can go all the way left. So, that's just something. Those are just examples. I have absolutely no judgment. We all go through the things that we need to go through in order to grow or not. So, that's that on that. And I don't have the right to judge. Um, that's something that you learn in shadow integration, which will be next week's episode. Is that, you give up your rights to judge because the shadow is, once you face it, the desire to judge others and all those other things, reject, suppress, and all that who shot John, they go out the door. And it's natural. There's nothing you have to do. It falls away. So that's it on that. All right, so here's some other things that could be stored in our shadow. Past trauma. You wanna, if you don't know where to look for shadow shit, start with your childhood. Especially, well, myself in particular, my childhood was filled with a lot of child abuse and domestic violence and racism. I grew up in a racist town, and I had literally had peers that bullied us because we were black. Some of which told us we deserved the things that African Americans went through. And if you ain't figured it out, I'm African American female, so cis female. Don't let the deep voice fool you. There are so many different people on the planet. Um, I am what what I've termed the quote unquote other sheep, unconventional. So again, that's it on the emotional wounds, psychological issues, some shit going on with you, like depression and shit like that. You don't want nobody to know. Spiritual bypassing is one. Two, I didn't put that on there. Um, our unprocessed experiences, which in other words is our past. The traits we hide from others. In other words, the chapter no one reads out loud about their lives. All the shit that you don't want society to know that you're doing in the background in secret. Um, that shit. That's in the shadow, stored in the shadow. Unacceptable personality traits. Like if you have you have an extra you got a healthy sexual appetite. That kind of goes into the chapter no one reads out loud about their lives too, but And interestingly enough, our gifts are in our shadow. They're hidden as well. Because when we don't process shit properly, the right shit that we need can't come up to be utilized. So, that's it on that. That's what I learned. This is a very deep subject because I'm not even scraping the surface um of what's stored in your shadow. This entire concept. It takes years of work in this. However, there is no time like the day to get started. You hear me? It is no time like the day because once you develop a practice, um, and the rewards of shadow integration are just far, far, far too invaluable for anyone not to embark on this journey. Um, Man, it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT. This is the cheat code. Shadow mastery is the cheat code. But this is what's stored in the shadow. Um, these are some of the things. Um, Unacceptable personality traits. You got a temper, a hefty sexual appetite. Some people, a lot of people that struggle with their sexuality, it's stored in their shadow. Now you just cope with it by denying, rejecting, all that who shot John earlier. Rejection, suppression, repression, denial, projection. Yeah. Hatred is more definitely in the shadow. Because that's a form of psychological issue. All right. All right, that concludes the very, very short uh, description of shadow awareness. our self-mastery report. I pulled the card already, and it said, today I will ask my higher power, whoever that is for you, God, source, you. It don't matter. It don't matter. It absolutely does not matter. If you don't believe in spiritual shit, it is perfectly fine. Do what you do, boo. Just read it and just read. When I read the card, you just insert your damn name in it. Where higher power, God, or source, or whatever, universe, or whatever it is. Today I will ask my higher power to send me their best, and I will trust that all that is good will come to me. I will remember that sometimes we don't get what we want because has something infinitely better in store for us. Man, that shit right there. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. I know it don't seem like much, but it is. It is. It is. It takes a lot. It's commendable to wait on well, you practice patience. Most very much so. Energy report, I'm not repeating that shit. I spent 30 minutes telling y'all December 31st, 2024, about the energy report for 2025. It's very good. Check it out. I used my own personal resources, and I included some things that I listened to. One of my mentors got me on my old mentors got me on a YouTube channel called the Pele Report. That's very good for energy reports. And then there are other people that are astrologers, that credible astrologers, that give very good energy reports on YouTube as well. So you just don't have to wait for me. You could just listen to this shit in the car, or if you already know this shit, because a lot of people already know it, let it, there's nothing wrong with remembering. Remembering is the best thing we can do in personal development. So take every opportunity to remember something opposed to just learning. All right. Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I have a lot of fun doing these. And apparently I got some upgrades with my um, presentation slides. So I like it. I hope you like it too. But thank you for listening. Again, this is SoulFlwrLLC with the Soul Garden podcast. In our Other Sheep series, episode 9, which was the introduction into shadow awareness. If you got any questions, you can email us at soulflwrinc@gmail.com, or you can message us on Facebook on our Soulflower LLC account, or yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can comment on this, John, or not. But email is your strongest bet. If you have any questions or comments, you can also book services with us at www.soulflwrllc.com. This is Nicole again. I am the self-mastery educator, and Sean who is my partner in business and in life. Sean is the meditation teacher. Hopefully we can get her on here to help us do some breath work. Give you a little snippet of that. But we do have a program that I have not spoken to you about. I want to speak about it right quick while we're on here. It's called the New Tomorrow Collective. It's a 12-week program where we train you to do self-mastery learning and we teach you how to meditate. So you can again go to www.SoulFlwrLLC. You get a free discovery call of 30 minutes where we talk to you. We talk to you about how we operate and how we work with you over the 12 weeks, and then you determine whether or not you want to work with us regarding it. Okay. I mean, we got a lot of services. We marry people because we're ministers. Um, we marry all types of couples. So that's that on that. What else? I do the self mastery readings. The self mastery readings are for you. It ain't for if you trying to make sure your baby daddy come back to you. No, we deal with you in our circuit service, and that's it. We don't deal with anybody else. So that's the self mastery reading. That's why I call it self mastery. We do couple plans. We do individual plans. If you got goals, and you need someone to help you, to coach you through that shit and organize it. That's what we're here for. We got life coach certifications. Um, and couple planning, where you can do a couple plan and you can get married with us. We would love to do that for you. We would be honored. I'm trying to think of our other services. Well, I think I got the gist of it. But so, love, light, and unity to all of y'all. I hope all of y'all have a good night. And until we meet again, live well and die free. Again, this is Nicole at SoulFlwrLLC. Y'all take care.